What's up, guys? This is Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall market, and break down some very key levels to watch for as the market's trying to accumulate, and why it's very possible we're about to start an uptrend for just about a week or two before we see further declines. I'm going to break down exactly why that is and how the market's trying to look. Just know that I'm not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $2,000, you're guaranteed 30 in total, and the offer ends at the end of March. Anyways, look at the setup right here. You guys can see that SPY has formed an accumulation, and we'll see if we get another kind of like dip move to reaccumulate. But then ultimately, I do think that we will start to try to attempt to push higher. Whether the catalyst is FOMC or something else, we will talk about that. But just know that as far as the market's going today is Monday, March 17th. There's not really, very minor data came out at 8:30 a.m. Everything was like very close to expected when it comes to our retail sales. Not too crazy. However, when it comes to business inventories and the housing market index, this is all coming out at 10 a.m. May cause some volatility, and the rest of this data is quite minor, so get ready for that. So very minor data for the next couple of hours, nothing too crazy. I do want to mention that we'll see if Donald Trump or President Trump mentions anything involving new tariffs that could also affect things. And then there are a lot of tensions in the Middle East, but so far the market, it's holding up quite nicely despite this. I also want to add that, although we saw a little bit of a dip in futures, we are seeing the market trying to get bought back up right now. The buyers are coming back. That dip could have been another liquidity grab if we do try to continue to pump. And I'll break down more information about that. I do want to mention that the OECD just made an estimation that they are expecting the US GDP estimates to be a little bit weaker than what we saw beforehand. So, not the best of news, but for the time being, the market still remains decent because even though we saw such a big amount of downside for the last couple of weeks, I do see an attempt to reaccumulate right over here. And the market's going to be looking for a reason to try to uptrend just a bit as we're pricing in, all the tariff fears and etc. So yeah, I think there's a good chance that we do attempt some kind of rebound move. But we'll have to see if we, hold our key levels just for confirmation. So if we lose 555, it's going to be a bad sign for SPY. If we can't hold that, there's going to be a risk of us retesting the lows again. But even if we do touch these levels, like you could still touch these levels, but if you bounce again, that's still a good sign. So, like for example, SPY right over here, it came down to like 551, bounced, just touched 549, and then it tried to like rebound from there. So if we break past 565 and hold above that, we're looking for an attempt for the 570s. We're looking for that, the gap fill all the way back up here and move all the way back up to about 575. So I'm watching these levels very closely. What I anticipate is going to happen is whether we get some kind of dip or not. I do think we're going to try to uptrend for a week or two, and I do think SPY will return to the like 570s, 580s, well above those levels. We're going to take it one day at a time. For now, let's just see if we could hold above 565. If that holds, we're looking for an attempt to bounce. My guts tells me that we're not ready to see a big, explosion yet. We might kind of like see consolidation here and there, a little bit of a chop first before it slowly starts to accumulate as the days go on, maybe after FOMC to start pumping like this. That's what I'm basically anticipating as we have the potential for an inverse head and shoulders. So I want to see if we can break past 565 to remain bullish. We may start off with a small pullback first. So, in case we're below like 560, we're looking for like 558, then 555. Might see a little dip first before it continues to reaccumulate like this. And then we could continue to uptrend as time goes on. So keep that in mind. Onto the QQQ, we're looking for essentially 480 is our resistance. If we break that, we're looking for 485 and 488, especially as we have a double bottom. If we end up losing 474, we have a gap to fill to 470. So we'll see. Do we come down to fill this gap first and then we get a big bounce, or do we just, bounce from here? I am bullish for the next week to week and a half, for the next 2 or so weeks. The end of March is typically, a good time for us. But we will see if we get a pullback move like this first before it tries to continue to reaccumulate and pump like this. This could also be what's about to happen. Either way, it's bullish, right? That's the main thing to remember. I believe we're going to be pumping a lot more, whether we get a pullback move first and then we pump, or if we just pump from here. I still have a lot of optimism about that. Onto the Russell. And by the way, I forgot to mention, I want to see the QQQ hold 480. If we hold that, we're looking for essentially 488 and 492. If we end up losing 474, we're looking for a dump back down. So just keep that in mind. For the IWM Russell 2000, we have this trend line acting as resistance. We want to see this break 205. If that breaks, we're looking for a bigger push for 209. If we end up losing 200, we're looking for a dip back down. We're trying to form an accumulation right here, so we'll just have to see how things end up going. I want to see this get back above 204 plus, so give this some time. So give this some time as the Russell is developing this a nice accumulation. I want to see this push higher, so give this some time, and we'll see how things end up going. For ES, I just don't want to see this thing lose 5600. That's our 20 EMA, and 5580. As long as we have this like double bottom and reaccumulate, I'm looking for 5671 as our potential targets. If we break that, we're going to the 5700s. We'll see if we get a dip first, like the 5600s, before it tries to reaccumulate. As long as you don't lose the slower trend line, we're going to be fine. So just keep that in mind. So we'll see if we get some kind of like dip move like this first before it eventually tries to, push right back up like this. I'll be watching it to see to what extent it dips first, but as long as this trend line holds, this could just be another higher low to be made before it tries to bounce again. I do think an uptrend is going to be respected. On NQ, we have a double bottom. This may drag us back up to the 20,000s, 20,215, 20,600. As long as we get back above 19,800, we're looking for the 20,000s. And if we end up losing 19,577, we could kind of turn back down here. So we'll have to see how things end up going. If we get some kind of pullback move to 19,500, and if we end up forming a nice bounce here. So give that some time, especially as time goes on. For Bitcoin, we're riding this trend line up over and over again. So as long as this holds, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to about 86,000. If we lose the support, we're going to be looking for a dip back down towards, the lower 80,000s. We're holding the trend line nicely, so I'll just have to see how this ends up going. So give this some time. For Nvidia, I think we're doing a good job so far. We're going to be looking for an attempt for 126.69. There's a good chance that we do attempt to push a little bit more towards that target. As long as we don't lose like 120 to 117, we do favor that upwards direction. For Tesla, it has a nice bullish wedge. I like this. However, I just don't want to see this low taken out, right? It might dip a little bit towards like this trend line around the 244 area. Even 240 can be tested. It's going to be fine. I just don't want to see it lose like 232 or so. If we could hold above that, there's a good chance it's going to eventually reaccumulate and try to push up to fill this gap to about 262 and then the 270s. So look for a pullback first and maybe a bounce as time goes on is the most likely possibility. Apple looks a bit more bullish. As long as we don't lose 210, I'm looking for an attempt for 217. For Coinbase, I'm looking to see if this can actually hold up better. We'll see if it comes down to retest these lows or not. As long as it could try to hold 177, I think we're going to be okay if we kind of like dip like this and reaccumulate. Amazon needs to break past 200. If that breaks, looking for 202.5, especially off this double bottom. So, it's doing a good job. We have a double bottom right here that's forming. As long as it makes a higher low above 196, we could be pushing for 202. For Meta, we have another double bottom like structure. As long as we're above 610, we're looking for an attempt for the 620 area, then 628. So there's potential in this. For Microsoft, we're looking for 389. If that breaks, we're looking for 392. For Google, we want to see this break past 168. If that breaks, we're looking for an attempt for 170. So far, we're doing a good job, especially off this bullish divergence. However, I just don't want to see us lose 162 or below to turn bearish. We just don't want to make a higher low and continue to push. So keep that in mind. The VIX is making lower highs here. It's actually relatively weak. That's a good sign for the markets that we're going to continue this uptrend. So this is my view. If we get some kind of pullback move, it's going to be okay because I think we're going to uptrend for a week or two. That's the main thing you have to remember. Watch your supports. We're going to be watching that 560 area, 558 and 555 is 3 micro supports. And then as long as we could hold, we will eventually most likely pump soon. I do anticipate a nice uptrend to be respected. And then it's just a temporary uptrend lasting a week or two until we see further declines, in my opinion. That's what my opinion is. Thank you all so much for listening. Have a good one. And I'll be back with another video very, very soon. Get ready for trading, guys. Get ready for the market open, and peace out.